Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashville. My name is Danielle Garrett. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm serving as your student minister this year. It is so nice to be with all of you today, both virtually and in person. If the folks on Zoom would like to and feel comfortable, I invite you to turn your camera on, put your camera in gallery view, and say hello to everyone who is online with you and here in the sanctuary. We're so glad to have you with us online today. Whoever you are and whatever road has led you here this morning, know that you are welcome here. We are so glad you've come to worship with us. As Unitarian Universalists, we do not share a common creed, but covenant together to affirm our interdependence and recognize the inherent worth and dignity of everyone. We are a welcoming congregation, and we deepen our relationships as we serve our congregation's mission to create community, nurture spiritual growth, and act on our values in the broader world as we work for social and environmental justice. I'd like to extend a special welcome to anyone this morning who is visiting for the first time. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you might find it here. If you're joining us live this morning and feel comfortable, we'd love for you to say hello in the chat so we can welcome you. You can find helpful resources and more information about our congregation by visiting our website at firstuunash.org. You can also feel free to reach out to me via email at my email address, studentmin, M-I-N, @thefund.org for more information about the congregation. And also this morning, I am honored to welcome the Reverend Dr. Michelle Pederson as our guest preacher this morning. She is a spiritual director, Veriditas-trained labyrinth facilitator, and affiliated community minister with Greater Nashville Unitarian Universalist Congregation. She earned her MDiv from Meadville Lombard Theological School, certificate in spiritual direction from the Hezekiah School of Spiritual Direction, and a doctorate in sociology from Loyola University of Chicago. She also happened to do her ministerial internship right here at First UU. We are so excited that she's joining us this morning. Before we begin worship, I have a few announcements about the life of the congregation. First, we have resumed publishing our weekly Sunday bulletin. You can get it in person in the social hall or on our website. Next, our annual stewardship campaign kicks off next Sunday, March 20th. And this is when we come together to share in the abundance that is present in our vibrant community. Now is a wonderful and exciting time at Fun, a time of renewal. We rejoice in the church open again for in-person services while continuing to offer services live online for those who are not able to be present in the sanctuary. The Mission Vision Covenant Task Force is gearing up for a congregational discussion and review of the church's vision for Fun, and the annual Fun Urban Craft Fair is coming back on April 23rd. Renewal is a common thread running throughout our congregation these days. To reflect that, the theme for this year's campaign is Renewing the Journey. Please begin thinking about how you will renew your contribution to our Power Collective and the many ways it will help our light shine even brighter. Also, Faith Development is offering 2 new classes. These are in the bulletin as well. Please note that the Wandering Together class, which is presented in conjunction with the UU Church of Palouse in Moscow, Idaho, started last Sunday and is open to new participants today, March 13th, but it will be closed thereafter. You can email Marguerite Mills, mmills@firstunash.org if you're interested in participating in the series at a later date. Also, Spiritual Practices with Reverend Diane starts in April. You can visit our website for details on these classes and all of our faith development offerings. I also invite you to look out for our Visioning Wishing Well, which I saw out in the social hall when I came in. The Mission, Vision, and Covenant Task Force has been planning opportunities for input to guide Writing Fun's new vision statement. There are several ways you can participate, and we really need your input. Please check out our weekly bulletin or website for more details. And for details about all of these announcements and other announcements in the life of our congregation, you can visit our website at firstunash.org. With that, welcome. We are so glad you are all with us this morning.
Good morning. Oops. My name is Melanie Bresnan. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the temporary music coordinator here at First Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashville. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning. Our call to worship, Entering This Community of the Spirit by Richard Gilbert. As we enter this community of the Spirit, may we remember the difficult lesson that each day offers more things than we can do. Therefore, may we learn to separate that which matters most from that which matters least. May we do what needs to be done, postpone what does not, and be at peace with what can be and do.
Petra Smosky wrote the words to our chalice lighting. May this flame we light remind us that every one of us can bring the light of love to the world. May this clear flame be a symbol that every heart can burn bright with joy, peace, and harmony. May the wisdom of ages speak to us through this flame and stay in us. Every one of us can be a blessing to the world. Good morning. I'm Gail Spar. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a worship associate today, and I'd like to share with you a story that I wrote 3 years ago. And I think I told it back then, and I'd like to share it again. It's about Amelia and her amazing magical superpowers. Now, Amelia was fascinated by people who had super magical powers. People like, well, you know, superpowers like Wonder Woman, or who knew how to do real magic like Harry Potter. She longed to be able to have those kinds of powers so that she could help people. You know, people like the young boy that she saw sitting alone by himself almost every day in the lunchroom at school. He looked so sad. Well, if she had magic, she could make him happy. Or those little kids who are always being picked on by a big girl on the playground. Well, if she had superpowers, she'd show that gal a thing or two, I'll tell you what. And every day as she walked by the rundown, dilapidated park in her neighborhood, she thought, wow, a little magic could fix this place up so we kids would have a place to play. Well, one night, as she was about to fall asleep, a fairy godmother appeared in her room. Hello, Amelia. I'm here to help you. What is it you've been wishing for? Oh, said Amelia, could you give me some magic superpowers so that I can make a difference? Well, said the fairy godmother, I'd be happy to give you some magic powers, but oh, thank you, said Amelia. And with that, she fell fast asleep. Well, the next day, when Amelia woke up, she remembered what had happened the night before, and she jumped out of bed, eager to test those new powers. As she was walking to school, she thought, oh, but I forgot how to release those. I forgot to ask how to release those powers. Maybe there's some magic words that I say, or maybe I give some sort of a high sign. Oh, well, I'll figure it out as I go along. That day in the lunchroom, she saw that boy sitting alone again by himself. Oh, she said, here's my chance. I'm going to try my magic powers. And so she wiggled her fingers a little bit. Nothing. She came closer. She wiggled her fingers again. And this time the boy looked up at her. Well, she couldn't help. She just smiled a great big smile at him. And you know what? The boy smiled right back at her, this great big grin across his face. Wow, thought Amelia, my magic really does work. She ran over to him and she said, may I join you for lunch? And he said, sure. She sat down next to him. They had a great lunch together. She learned that his name was Bobby, that he had lost his father earlier in the year, and his mother and he had just moved to this town. Well, he didn't know anybody, and he was too shy to introduce himself. Well, after lunch, Amelia took him around and introduced him to some of his friends, and they became good friends, Amelia and Bobby. And you know what? Bobby smiled a lot after that. A few days later, in the schoolyard, Bobby and Amelia saw two young children being picked on by a larger girl over by the swings. Well, Amelia knew, she'd read what to do about bullies, but she'd never really tried it because she was afraid it wouldn't work for her. But now that she had magic powers, she was ready to go. So she said, come on, Bobby, let's go over there. She went over, she looked straight at the girl and she said, Karen, you stop that bullying right now. Come on, Dodie and Lou, you're safe with us. Let's go away. So as they walked away, Amelia said to the two young children, now, if this girl ever bothers you again, here's what you do. You walk away. You ignore her like nothing has happened. You don't show any emotion at all. And if she keeps on picking at you, you talk to Mr. Crenshaw in the office. And if you need to, I'll go with you. Well, the kids did exactly what Amelia had told them to do, and Karen never bothered them again. Well, by now, Amelia was feeling pretty good about her magic powers. But she hadn't figured out what to do about that park. Wiggling her fingers hadn't done anything, and she still didn't know any magic words. Well, she thought, maybe if I just start working in the park, something will come to me. So she got some trash bags and she started picking up the rubbish that people had left in there over the weeks and months. After a while, some of her friends came by and they said, what are you doing? She said, oh, I'm cleaning up the park so we kids will have a place to play. Well, that sounded pretty good to the other kids. So they chipped in and they started helping. They started picking up the trash. They pulled weeds. They cleared out the brush. And little by little, the park started looking better as many other kids joined in to help. Well, as the parents saw how much better the things were looking, they decided to help too. Some of them mowed the lawn, others built picnic tables. Still others went to the city and convinced them to give some nice equipment to the park so it'd have new things there. It was a lot of hard work and it took a lot of time, but pretty soon the park was like new. It was a place where people could go and enjoy being again. They decided, because it was so nice and new, they would celebrate with what they'd done, and they had a picnic in the park. Well, that night after the picnic, Amelia was exhausted. She fell into bed and was just about to go to sleep when her fairy godmother appeared again. Oh, I'm so glad you're here, said Amelia. I wanted to thank you for giving me those super magical powers. Fairy godmother said, but Amelia, I tried to tell you. My wand was broken. I couldn't give you any powers. Oh, but you must have. How else could I have made Bobby smile or stopped a bully or given the neighborhood a new park? Amelia, you did those things because of powers you already possess. Kindness, bravery, determination. With those things, you are making a difference. And with that, Amelia fell fast asleep.
Thank you for that, Gail. I know I needed to hear that this morning. You may know that we share every Sunday's collection with an organization whose work outside our walls aligns with our values. Our Share the Plate partner for the month of March is Fund's TransAffirming Collective. The TransAffirming Collective is a group of trans people and allies who work with our UU community to celebrate people of all gender identities through education, advocacy, and collaborative solidarity. The TransAffirming Collective's monthly meetings are open to anyone who shares this mission. There's a collection bowl in the rear of the sanctuary, and as always, you can donate online by visiting firstuunash.org. The offering is a sacrament of the Free Church. It is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. As always, your gifts, like your presence among us, are received with gratitude. In this time of transition, as we continue to learn how to offer worship that is both online and in person, we are still working to find a creative way to share joys and concerns during worship and throughout the week. We are working towards a process that is deeply connecting, honors privacy in a multi-platform environment, and provides a means for follow-up by the lay ministers as needed. In the meantime, your lay ministers remain ready to listen to you and support you. You can find their contact information on the church website. We know we all come to this sanctuary carrying things on our hearts, joys and sadness, worries and excitement. Let us hold those things together as we join in a moment of meditation or prayer with words by Elizabeth Buki. Spirit of life, love which holds us, we gather in reverence and thanks for you. We are grateful for the gift of another breath and for each moment of connection, beauty, and truth. Cry with us in our pain for our world. Remind us that we are loved just as we are. Remind us that we are connected with all that is. Remind us that we do not journey alone. Give us what we need for today. Call us back to our promises, commitments, and values. Help us love ourselves and each other and to show that love in our actions. Make us instruments of justice, equity, and compassion, and free us from all that is evil. We declare that life and love are stronger than tyranny and fear, that a world of beauty and love is coming, and we must shape it together. May it be so. Amen.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing number 1017 in our blue hymnal, Building a New Way.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. At these the world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Our reading this morning is edited from a blog by Blog, who begins with a quote from Greek philosopher Epictetus. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. What does that mean? This is a great Stoic quote. It starts out by admitting that there are things that are outside of our ability to control or even modify in any way. While the most obvious examples are forces of nature, there are plenty of other things in life that are outside our power. But the quote specifically says to concentrate on doing the best you can with what you have in your power to do. To use an old cliche, if life is giving you lemons, open a lemonade stand, right? Make the best of every situation. Do what you can to help yourself and, by extension, others. Be responsible for your actions and be careful not to hurt others. Then take what's left, which is the things you cannot do much or anything about, as gracefully as can be managed. Be responsible. This could be things completely beyond human power, or it could simply be something beyond your experience or ability to make sense of. Why is being able to take what happens important? Well, let us start by admitting that we cannot control every aspect of everything in our lives. In doing so, we are admitting that there are things beyond our control. What are we to do when one of these things that are beyond our ability to control occurs? Well, we could throw a tantrum. We could kick and scream and pound our fists and cry. But would that help our situation in any manner? It might not be pleasant, but we must take what happens and put our best face on. By dealing with things beyond our control in a controlled and mature manner, we not only show grace under pressure, but can serve as an inspiration or an example to others to try to imitate. In this manner, we can help reduce global whining. Where can you apply making the best use of what is in your power? Well, how about everywhere, all the time, with everyone, on every subject? Really, this quote is about being the best that you can be. It's about applying yourself to each situation and doing the best you can. It's about attempting to get the best result you can all day, every day. Getting things done to the best of your ability. Turning lemons into lemonade and lemonade into friendships and other rewards. Making the best of even a bad situation. That's what the quote is urging us to do. It's also about taking personal responsibility for the outcomes you get out of life, because you are the only one with the power to make things happen. Others can help, but it's up to you to get it done in a manner that is consistent with your values and your goals. And in those situations when you can't make something happen, the quote asks you to show some quiet dignity. Your behavior, that is also part of your responsibility, isn't it? So you gracefully handle a situation that you couldn't do anything about. Or you make the best use of what was in your power. Could it possibly be that you do both?
I am Michelle Pederson. My pronouns are she, her. It is lovely to be here again. As I prepared for this sermon, Facebook helpfully offered up a memory. In 2016, I wrote, "I have tried and still it doesn't work. So I'm going to stop fighting and simply embrace my learning style. I am currently printing out a 233-page ebook." What synchronicity, Facebook offering me a memory of my process towards acceptance. I remember how liberating it felt to have a printed copy of the book. I made notes in the margins, underlined things, put tabs so I could return to particular sections. Once I stopped trying to force myself to read digitally and accepted my learning style, I could give myself what I needed: a printed version which made the document accessible and usable to me. Synchronicity. Whenever I begin sermon preparation, examples of my topic appear out of nowhere, like that Facebook post. Oftentimes, the universe also delivers at least one opportunity to learn and grow in that specific area I plan to preach. The synchronicity is sometimes delightful, other times not. Accepting both, the ones that are brilliant examples and the ones that require growth, can be a challenge. As I began preparing my topic for today, I considered how accepting my process, my way of doing things, has afforded me with an ease and confidence in areas that were previously difficult. Some of you may remember that I was an intern here in 2014-15, which seems like yesterday to me, and actually wasn't. In a conversation with Reverend Gail Seavey, I lamented at the amount of time and effort and enormous numbers of revisions that it required me to write a sermon. And Gail said to me, "Michelle, I wish you would just accept your writing style." Her simple, clear, compassionate response was so very powerful to me. I still hear it in my head when I get frustrated about my sermon. Until that time, I hadn't realized I was trying to make myself into a different kind of writer. Over time, I did learn to accept my writing style, which was both liberating and empowering. I now enjoy sermon writing. Accepting other people for who they are, as Gail did for me, frees them to become who they need to be. Accepting ourselves for who we are allows us to then accept others more readily. And accepting others for who they are means that I'm not expending my limited energy fighting against things or in wishing things were different than they are. Acceptance truly is a gift that we can offer to ourselves and to others. These are some of the areas that I pondered in the time leading up to writing my sermon. And then my dog Lily became very sick. Synchronicity. Not the type of synchronicity I was hoping for. I did not want to practice acceptance in this area. The following weeks were profoundly challenging to me to come to accept the end of Lily's life. And I did not do that alone. I came to acceptance through relationship, just as I came to acceptance of my learning style through relationship. Relationships are critical to acceptance. Tara Brach in Radical Acceptance posits that there are two parts to genuine acceptance and that both are essential like wings on a bird. According to Brach, the first part of acceptance is to see things clearly, or clear seeing. What does that mean, clear seeing? I've found that we begin to see ourselves clearly through the eyes of another. After Gail pointed it out, I could clearly see I was trying to be someone other than me. Clear seeing means to let go of our inner critical dialogue and stories that we tell ourselves so that we can see what actually is happening right in the present moment, not what we want to happen or wish was happening. The second part of genuine acceptance, according to Brach, is to hold our experience with compassion. We see clearly what is true in this moment, become entirely present to that experience, and hold ourselves with compassion. Holding ourselves with compassion, we can then make decisions that are compassionate, kind, and supportive. My previous examples make it appear that acceptance is simple, straightforward, easy, just common good sense. However, acceptance of ourselves, of our experiences, situations, and other people is not always simple, straightforward, or easy. Instead, it is often a long, winding, hilly road moving toward acceptance. And sometimes it can take years to get there. Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, a respected authority on death and dying, describes 5 stages in grief and loss. These stages are not linear. One can move in and out of any of the stages multiple times or even skip stages. But the stages describe what many do go through while learning to live with loss. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Although they're not linear, I do think it's important that acceptance is listed last. As is grief, acceptance is a process. It takes time and practice to get to a place of acceptance. It's not the first thing we do. Kubler-Ross writes that acceptance is not that we feel okay with what has happened. Instead, she writes, this stage is about accepting the reality that our loved one is physically gone and recognizing that this new reality is the permanent reality. For me, resisting or fighting against what is true is often my first reaction. That's where I start fighting. I think that it is also significant that acceptance is the starting point for the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. It's uttered by so many in 12-step recovery programs. Many of us have spent years fighting against the reality that we have an addiction. We could not see clearly what addiction was doing to us or our families. We are gifted with clear seeing through the eyes of other members of the group, are shown compassion, and over time begin to show compassion to ourselves and others. We come to accept the reality that we are addicts and that it is permanent. It makes no difference whether or not we want to be addicted. We simply are. Once acceptance of the reality or truth of the situation is achieved, then we can begin to make real change, no longer wasting our energy on trying to not be something. Acceptance is a powerful agent for change. Better, compassionate choices can be made once the truth of any situation is accepted. Lily's illness seemed to come on very quickly, and I knew it was serious. It was quite difficult for me, though, to accept that she was nearing the end of her life. I, along with her vet, wanted to be able to fix what was wrong. We tried a variety of things. She was hospitalized for 3 days. On her last weekend at home, we took her for a drive in the park with the window down. We let her drink the water from the lake. And we just loved on her. My spouse said, if this is the end of her life, it should be whatever she wants. I was completely in favor of giving her whatever she wanted. I was not, however, ready to accept that it was the end of her life. Lily's vet is very knowledgeable, extremely kind and caring. On the final day, she had clear seeing. She saw what was happening for all of us. And with great compassion, she said, "You have to let her go." Her clear seeing and compassion allowed us to then see clearly. Her acceptance was a powerful gift given to all of us. Remember, Kubler-Ross wrote that acceptance is not that we feel okay with what's happened. Instead, acceptance is about accepting the reality that our loved one is physically gone and recognizing that this new reality is the permanent reality. This definition of acceptance fits many other situations, not just death. We don't arrive at acceptance quickly. It doesn't happen all at once. It is something to be practiced daily. Acceptance is not the same as resignation or giving up. Resignation is disempowering, depleting, and demoralizing. Acceptance instead is empowering, freeing, liberating. Philip Moffat, in the book Dancing with Life, Buddhist Insights for Finding Meaning and Joy in the Face of Suffering, describes a practice of saying to oneself, "This moment is like this," or "This is how this is." Instead of reacting to something, being critical of ourselves, what we are thinking or feeling, or what someone else is saying or doing, say to yourself, "This moment is like this." This practice of simply noting what is true in the moment helps to gain perspective, to see clearly and compassionately. Tara Brach invites us to acceptance through clearly seeing and holding ourselves in compassion. Kubler-Ross invites us to accept the reality and permanence of loss. Moffat invites us toward acceptance through noticing what is happening in every moment and non-clinging, remembering the impermanence of all. The gift of acceptance is in being aware or woke to what is happening now and compassionately responding. Paradoxically, through acceptance of what is, real power for change is created. Acceptance is a gift we give to ourselves and to others. Accepting others for who they are invites them into conversation, into relationship. Accepting the truth, the reality of social injustice does not mean we shrug and say, "Oh well." Instead, accepting reality means that we acknowledge what is happening. Then we choose compassion. We build relationships and connection based on compassion. Through acceptance, we become empowered to do more together. Energy is not wasted on wishing things were different than they are or lamenting about how they should be. Instead of trying and finding, like my Facebook post of long ago, that it doesn't work, we can stop fighting what is true, accept reality. With genuine acceptance, our energies are utilized to do things that are supportive of a vision of the world that is kinder and more compassionate. May it be so. Thank you.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 168, One More Step.
One more step, we will take one more step till there is peace for us, and everyone will take one more step. One more word, we will say one more word, till every word is heard by everyone. We'll take one more word. One more prayer, we will say one more prayer, till every prayer is shared by everyone. We'll say one more prayer. One more song, we will sing one more song, till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song.
Thank you. Please remain standing for our chalice extinguishing.
Please join me with the words that were written by Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
May you find acceptance here. May you find acceptance of yourself. May you offer acceptance to another. May we clearly see both the beauty and the pain in the world. May we together spread acceptance and compassion throughout the web of life.